Jefferson Highlights Community Television. I'm Lori Zook, and today I have with me Officer Maury Cahill and Investigator Doug Meyer from the Morris County Sheriff's Office. Welcome, and thanks for coming here today.
Thanks for having us.
And we're going to talk about something special, which I think the public really doesn't know about, but it's very interesting, called Project Lifesaver. Maury, can you kind of give me an idea of what Project Lifesaver is all about?
It's a 1-ounce band that is placed on someone's wrist that either has Alzheimer or a dementia-related disorder. And it's a tracking system that if they happen to wander away from their home, we're able to go out and locate them.
Okay, and where did the idea for Project Lifesaver come from?
It actually came from a Sergeant Rob Alpaugh in our division. He found it on the internet and brought it to our sheriff's attention and said, he kind of explained it the same way, that it would be LoJack for people.
Right.
And with that, he did some more research, and we were able to get some funding to start up the program. And so that's pretty much how it came about.
Okay, and is this Project Lifesaver done through other parts of the country, or is it just here in New Jersey?
No, it's actually a national project. It's started in Virginia, and it has worked its way throughout the United States. Not everyone is involved, and it is here in Morris County, and it's also in 16 other counties throughout New Jersey.
Wow, from what I've read about it a little bit, I understand a lot of people have been found using this system, so it sounds like it's something that really could work out well. What are some of the other agencies that are involved with Project Lifesaver?
We currently, right now, we have the Morris County Sheriff's Office runs the program for Morris County. And like I said, there's 16 other counties involved. And now there are 3 other police departments involved, not in Morris County, throughout New Jersey. If the county doesn't have it, there is 1 or 2 police departments that have it.
Okay. And now we were talking about how it works. So let's say that I'm the primary caregiver for a family member who has a dementia disorder, and I call you and ask for assistance. What's the process? Do they fill out an application? What exactly happens?
When I get a phone call, I call the person back, the caregiver or a family member or even a concerned friend who calls for someone, and I explain a little bit about our program and how it works and what exactly it is, that it's a 1-ounce transmitter that's placed on their wrist or on their ankle. And I ask them for their name and their address, and I send them out an application. And we ask that they fill out the application with all the pertinent information. We then get the application back. From there, we go over it, we review it, and then we call them back and we set up a date that is good for them and a time that works for them. If they're working or they want other family members there, we'll switch our schedules around to accommodate the family.
Okay.
We then would go out to the family's home, and we have a contract, and we also have a personal data sheet that we ask them to fill out. And the contract is just what a normal contract would be between us and the family. And then the data sheet that we ask them to fill out is information ranging from where they were born and raised all the way up to currently what they're doing, where they're living, and about 5 pages worth of facts that we need, because a lot of times people will revert back to things in the past, and we need to know that.
Okay.
And then that day the transmitter is placed on them, and then from there I visit the family once a month. About every 4 to 6 weeks I go out and I will change the batteries, and if there's any updating that needs to be done as far as if it's annoying the person on their wrist, I can change it to their ankle. And we are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to the caregivers for that person.
Now, is it possible for that person, if they're back in reality, so to speak, that they would try to cut off the transmitter, you know, so that they don't have it on them and then you couldn't track them? How do you deal with a situation like that?
If that does happen, it happens more frequently than not, because somebody's not used to that. And like you said, sometimes they may be with it and sometimes they may not, and that's just the progression of the disease, unfortunately. And what we will do is we will go back into the home and we'll try and find a different way to deal with it. Sometimes if we put it on the ankle, it's out of sight, out of mind, and they're not really looking at it all the time, so they may not try and cut it off. We also have a band that's a leather band with metal in it that's a little harder to cut off, but we do ask the family members and the caregivers to take away any objects, scissors, knives, that the person could get their hands on and try and take it off.
Okay, I understand. Now, Doug, can you show me how the equipment actually works? I know you brought the equipment here today to just, just a brief demonstration of what happens.
This is the transmitter, the actual transmitter that Officer Cahill was talking about. This is the battery that she's going to come to her house and change once a month. It's real simple. It just plugs in, and it goes into the housing unit here. This is the actual finished product with the band on it. Each transmitter is given its own frequency. This isn't any type of GPS system where we can log onto the internet and see what Mrs. Jones is eating for breakfast or where Mr. Smith is at any time in the house. This is strictly just a frequency, a radio transmitter only, and each transmitter emits a pulse at once a second, and it's all given its own frequency. So we plug it into the machine, and we turn it on, and it'll give that pulse. There's the pulse. As the pulse gets stronger, we know we're getting closer, and it's real simple to track down. While we're responding, typically 2 officers will be responding to a call. One officer will have we'll both have the equipment hooked up to our trucks as we're responding in case we come across a signal before we get to the actual scene, and we could proceed to start searching for the victim there. Once we get out, we will have the wand. One guy will stay in the truck and roam around to give a more mobile search area, and the other person will go on foot with the antenna in hand and do a little more of a detailed search.
Now, what kind of range is on equipment like that?
I believe it's approximately 2 miles on the ground and up to 7 miles up in the air.
Wow, okay. So generally, if most of these people, if they get lost, it's usually they're leaving their own homes, so they're pretty much in that area, is that correct?
Absolutely. Most of them are about 100 yards, in about a 100-yard radius of the house.
I gotcha. And what kind of training do you go through with this type of equipment, both yourselves, and I know that you were saying you go and explain how to do it, but what kind of training do you guys go through to do this? Is it simple?
It's extremely simple. This is a user-friendly system. It's designed, so it takes more of the machine does all the work, and all we got to do is follow it. This way, it lets us concentrate more on the victim and where we are at in their surroundings than it does to operate the equipment. It's very simple to use. All of our canine officers are familiarized with it. We go about train with it once a week or so. We do once along we'll ride along with Maury and see the victims, or the patients, and we will chat with them. We get to know them a little bit, get to know the areas to where most of them are. That makes it a little bit easier to respond to, and it's I guess once a week, and we get to use it around here. So.
Okay. So I guess this would be good for anyone who is giving care to a family member that has either has Alzheimer's or dementia-related problems. And I know there are a lot of people out there that do, give care to a family member like that, but maybe aren't aware that there is a system like this available. So what would you want to say to those people that are watching?
That it's very important that they get involved in this program before the person wanders, and typically that's what we see. Someone doesn't feel that their family member needs it right now because they're not wandering, they're not walking out of their home, but unfortunately it takes more for us to find the person without the band on than it does if they have it on. And sometimes it takes some getting used to, and if they're a little more with it now, it's easier for us to put the bracelet on them to become used to it. So as the disease progresses and they do start wandering, then we can already have that in place, and it's just a little bit of a peace of mind for that caregiver and the family members, knowing that if for some reason they don't hear the door open, or they go to go cook a meal and Mrs. Jones walks out the front door and all of a sudden she's not there, that's panic, pure panic that goes through someone's mind. And as a family member, I mean, I would want that on my family member before anything happens.
So it's more of a preventative measure. Don't wait until it's too late and something happens and you can't find that person, and then you're in a panic, when there's actually something out there now that can prevent it or can limit your amount of time to find that person, rather than let them wandering off for very long distances and then you're really in trouble and you don't know what's happened.
Correct. And if something were to happen like that and the person does wander, we still want you to call, because if they wander again, then, like I said, it's just a little peace of mind for a caretaker that this system is in place for them.
Okay. And are there considerations given to someone who may need Project Lifesaver but can't afford the cost? I know it's not that expensive, and you can talk a little bit about that, but what can you do if you can't afford the cost?
The actual cost is $275 for the transmitter itself, the first setup, and it's about $10 a month for the batteries. Now, currently, we have the Division of Aging who funds the program, and they've gotten grant money, so there currently is no cost to anyone that has this that is a senior. And typically that's what we see. So anyone over the age of 60, it is free for them to come into the program, and it's funded, like I said, through the Division of Aging in Morris County.
So it's really a public service, basically. It's less expensive for you guys, I'm sure, to prevent things than have to spend the money for all the manpower to go out and search for somebody afterwards, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how many people are currently using Project Lifesaver in Morris County now?
We currently have 20 on our program.
So it's a fairly new program?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for answering my questions. We'll be back in just a moment on Jefferson Highlights Community Television. Welcome back to Jefferson Highlights Community Television. We're talking today about Project Lifesaver. Maury, I'd like to ask you, what happens from your end when somebody goes missing?
We have a designated number that we ask them to call, and if for some reason they can't call that designated number, they can call 911. And just to back up a little bit, to give a brief little history, we do ask the caregivers to do two things. To check their battery, we give them a battery tester when we go out and explain the equipment, and we ask them to test the battery every day. And as they're testing the battery every day, we ask them to write a brief description in a comment section on a piece of paper that we give them. And we ask them to just write down what the person is wearing that day. So if I was writing down for you, I would write that you were wearing a maroon shirt and a pink jacket and pink pants. And that's it. And if the person does go missing, we ask that they quickly search the house, call for the person, quickly search the closets, under the bed, in the bathroom, any rooms that are closed, and don't hesitate to call us immediately. They call our designated number that we give them, which is our communication center. And like I said, if for some reason they can't and they have to dial 911, the police departments that each client is in, their towns are notified with a fact sheet and our protocol, so then they would know to call our communication center. The communication center would then deploy our canine unit. There would be 2 officers that would go out with the equipment, and myself. I would respond directly to the house, and the canine officers would start responding with their equipment. From there, we get to the scene, and I would stay with the family, and the canine units, like Doug said earlier, one starts roving, and they go around with the equipment, and one gets out on foot and starts searching with the equipment right there, because most people are found 150 yards or so from their house. And like I said, our national average is about 22 minutes to find the person. And from there, hopefully, the person is found within that 22 minutes. And I know we're going to go outside in a little bit, and we're going to show you exactly how the equipment works.
Now let me ask you one more question. What happens if you can't find the person within that, say, 1 or 2 mile range? I know you said you have canine units. I'm assuming the dogs can help, but what happens? What do you do then?
Well, at that point we would ask for assistance from the other agencies, from the local towns. State police maybe even called to get involved depending on where we are.
Okay.
We have each canine officer that will be there will have 2 dogs with them generally, usually a patrol dog, and some of us work search and rescue dogs as well.
Okay.
So we could start deploying them and sort of start actively searching as well from there.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you both for answering my questions, and we'll be back in just a moment on Jefferson Highlights Community Television. Welcome back to Jefferson Highlights Community Television. I am here with Officer Maury Cahill and Investigator Doug Meyer. Thanks for coming back. And I want to ask you some more questions on Project Lifesaver. Can you give me just an approximate idea of statistics in New Jersey? I mean, how many people are currently using it? How many people are, actually, let's talk about how many people have Alzheimer's in New Jersey that might find this program useful.
In Morris County alone, there's approximately 6,652 residents over the age of 85 that are afflicted with some form of dementia or Alzheimer's disorders. And that's a lot of people.
That is, and as people live to be older ages, it seems like there's more and more of people, you know, obviously with that disorder. Do you expect more of these people to be fitted with this equipment? Is that your hope?
Our goal is to get everyone that needs a transmitter fitted with a transmitter in Morris County. That is our goal. That's the Division of Aging's goal also, is that everyone that needs this has the opportunity to have this program.
Okay, and eventually will all of the sheriffs and police departments be offering this program throughout the state?
The sheriff himself, and with the Sheriff's Association, that is their goal. They are pushing to have every single sheriff's department in New Jersey on board with this program, which actually works out very well for someone who lives, let's say, here in Morris County and travels down to the shore. We have the capability of contacting the Sheriff's Department down there and telling them that Mrs. Jones would be traveling down for 2 weeks with her family, and we can actually give our Mrs. Jones's frequency along with her fact sheet to that Sheriff's Department. And if she were to become missing while they were on vacation, the family can call the Sheriff's Department down there, and they are able to go out and track using the same equipment that we have with her frequency number.
That's excellent, so that they're always protected that way. Now, how is your Sheriff's Department prepared to handle with more cases as people come on? And let's say a lot of people watching the show today say, wow, that is a great idea, and you get a flurry of inquiries and now you're running around. Do you have enough people? What are the plans as it grows?
We do have enough people. Like Doug said earlier, all of our canine people are trained. They know how to go out and change batteries. Canine is actually who originally had this entire program, but it does require a lot of paperwork, a lot of contacting, a lot of phone calls. So that's where I come in. I get to be the paper pusher, so to say, where I can send out all the information that needs to be sent out. I can return phone calls and talk to family members that may have more questions. And we are prepared for an influx of people. The program is slowly, growing. We're going out there. We are doing demonstrations. We targeted senior citizens and their senior groups, and we went out and we did a lot of demonstrations for them, and we did get people that said, oh, I know somebody, and did give information out.
So a lot of it for you is word of mouth and whatever publicity that you get.
Correct.
There's no national campaign right now for doing that, so you're
Correct.
doing all the hard work yourself. Okay, and I know you, because of privacy issues, you can't give me any specific examples, but have there been good success stories of this happening throughout the country, whoever has it?
Yes, currently there's over 1,000 success stories throughout the United States. In Morris County, we've had 3 instances where people on our program have gone missing, and we have gotten phone calls. One in Mount Arlington where our canine units started responding, and like Doug said earlier, they had the antenna mounted on the top of their cars. They turned the receivers on, and within 18 minutes from the time of the call is when they found the person. So, and the national average is 22 minutes, so we are below the national average. We also had another person go missing, and we did put it out over our radio systems because people were coming into work, and it was a busy area, and the person was found by an officer that was driving into work. And we also had another call on where the person did start wandering, and our canine guys were en route there, and they were actually found by the son before our canine got on scene.
Okay, and now I also understand that you're going to expand your scope to children with autism.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes, we, the sheriff has in conjunction with Somerset County in speaking to their sheriff, realized that there is a lot of areas of expansion of this program. One specifically is for children, not so much with just autism, but autistic children, children that are afflicted with Down syndrome, brain injuries, and we have now expanded our program to anyone that fits in those criteria. So from very young to very old and anywhere in between pretty much is where our program has now come to. We currently do have 2 children that are autistic in our program. They have recently been signed up in the last 3 weeks since we opened up our program. And we feel that it's a very important aspect because autistic children, children with Down syndrome, a brain disorder, they're not able to communicate or at least speak to us and tell us where they live, if they happen to get lost. Just like someone with Alzheimer's or a dementia-related disorder isn't able to remember where they live, an autistic child or a Down syndrome child may not be able to communicate to us where they live. So it's a wonderful idea, and we are very happy, very excited that we are able to offer Morris County residents this program for their children.
Right. It sounds like it works the same way for the kids as it does for the adults. So
It does.
it's the same kind of thing. Well, in just a moment, we're going to go outside and have you two give us an actual demo of how the system works. So stay with us on Jefferson Highlights Community Television.
Here we are outside. We're going to demonstrate the equipment about recreating a call-out. Okay, we have a victim who wandered off, which is our Officer Cahill. She's got the bracelet on, and what we're going to do is we have a demo bracelet which check out its own frequency. Okay, and what I'll do at this point is I'll enter in the frequency numbers. 986. Okay, we'll turn the machine on. Now, there will be another canine officer in his vehicle. You can see it's turning on, so we know we're in close proximity. You can see the dial as it goes, and there's a signal. Okay, we're going to have another canine officer who is responding as well in his truck with this same equipment hooked up to an antenna, and he's going to be doing a roving circle, and he's going to be doing it's more of a mobile search with the trucks, cover a little more ground. Okay, and as the person here, as I'm demonstrating, I'm going to get out on foot, use the antenna, and what I'm going to do is start doing circles to see where the signal's stronger. Okay, right now we have a signal, but it's a little weak, so as I start doing my circles, it gets stronger. Okay, and what I'm trying to do is I'm looking for my boundaries. So I got a weak signal over here, I got a strong signal there, but I got a weakness signal over here. So I know I'm going to be starting heading this way. Okay, and I'm just going to keep moving this just to make sure, because the victim can be wandering, you know, if they're in decent health. At this point, we're also going to be looking for signs that the victim might have passed through here. Maybe shoes or clothing that articles that they may have dropped along the way. Okay, we're still getting a strong signal over here. Just kind of walk along following my boundaries. And there's our victim, comfortably sitting on a rock. Okay, at this point, we would contact the first aid squad, a local first aid squad, just to do a brief medical evaluation to make sure the victim's still healthy and everything's okay. And upon that evaluation, the outcome, the victim will be safely returned to their family and everybody will be happy.
I want to thank you both for being here today, and I'd like to ask you, if somebody's interested in applying for Project Lifesaver, how can they go about contacting you?
They can contact the Morris County Sheriff's Office, and the number is 973-285-6675.
Great. Thank you to Officer Maury Cahill and Detective Doug Meyer. Glad you guys were able to join me today. For Jefferson Highlights Community Television, I'm Lori Zook.